Hi everyone. Apologies if you hear any creaking at all. Kids are being put to bed, so there's a lot of walking around. But yeah, Merry Christmas Eve to everyone watching this post. And if you're watching this any later than Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, hopefully you had a good Christmas. So yeah, if you're in need of any of my help whatsoever, obviously check out the links below in the description. They'll take you to my website where you can see the services I offer. My other channel and Katie's channel is there, along with Katie's Etsy. They're also linked below, along with the Subliminal app promo code that we use. So check out the description if you're interested in any of that. I can't imagine there's going to be many people joining the stream today because it's Christmas Eve, but we'll see who joins. We'll see who shows up. But yes, okay. Oh, 5 people have joined already. That's quite cool. But yeah, to the 5 people that are currently in here, apologies for the creaking upstairs. Kids are being put to bed, but hopefully you guys are all doing all right on this merry eve. Just waiting for questions and stuff to come in or comments. If you could all like the video as well, that's really helpful. Just gets it pushed out so that more people can see it. And you never know, someone might ask a question you didn't think you knew the answer for. Didn't think you needed the answer for, sorry. Crimson Music says, hey bud, Merry Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas Eve to you too. Elena C says, hey, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day/night, depending on where you're from, / maybe middle of like early Christmas morning. I think some people in, India are like just gone midnight on the following day, I think. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing well. One sec. Get my phone. I'm just gonna jibber jabber while I wait for people to join and ask and speak and stuff. But I've been watching eBay all day today because I put a bid on a card that I really wanted, a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I think I got outbid. I did get outbid. I don't know whether I should rebid. LNAC says, I've got an SP, but she's someone I want to be best friends forever with. I think that's what BFF stands for. And she's got loads of friends and I could use some help manifesting. Okay, so the fact that she has loads of friends doesn't really get in the way of your manifestation. That's just obviously an obstacle that you've placed in your own way in this instance. So when you say you need some help manifesting, what particularly is it? Kind of how you can get there? Is it how to look past the element of the other friends being around? What is it that you're specifically sort of needing that help with? And I'll see if I can, well, help you, I guess. While I wait for that, I'm just going to, should I place this bid? I don't know. I'm going to place a bid while I wait. No, I placed a higher bid and someone had already outbidded me. So they've got a max bid on this. So I'm not going to bother. I can't justify 20 quid for one card. This is going to, yeah. So it's going to be quite a slow live today, I think. Everyone's obviously with their families and stuff. It's probably going to be one that I don't even post afterwards because I can't see there being much content to really have people watching for. I mean, we're only 3 minutes in, so it's not too bad. Eleanor C says, yes, the element of loads of friends. She says she likes having loads and loads of friends, and I want us to be like super besties. Is this similar to a third party? So a third party can be literally anything that you perceive as being in your way, like another person going for the same interview, if you were going for a job, or your partner being with someone else already. Anything can be a third party. So yes, this would be considered a third party. So in this instance, what you're best off doing is ignoring the fact that she has loads of other friends, or at least looking past it as best you can, and take away any reason to your mind why you wouldn't be able to be the top of that list. Like in what you just said, there is the element of loads of friends. She says she likes having loads and loads of friends. That doesn't mean she can't have a best friend like it or enjoy having one overall. So my advice would be to create that image in your mind where you are her best friend, where she tells you you are, or where you just know you are, or where other people tell you that you are. Create scenes and statements that imply it's true right now, as if you're living that life, and then loop those in your mind. Convince yourself that you are, or at least convince your subconscious mind that you are her BFF. And anytime any of the other friends come up, you can acknowledge them if you want to and say, yeah, but they're not as good as me. Or you can just look past them and say, I'm her only and her best friend, or whatever it is that you're wanting to get out of this. Anita Joseph says, hi, Matt. Howdy, howdy. Kiati Saxena says, Merry Christmas, Matt. Merry Christmas to you too, Kiati. Glad to have you both here. But Yeah, third parties can be anything. Most of the time, when people Google YouTube third parties, they're thinking of specific person third parties because that's like the most common fear when it comes to third parties. But it's just anything. If there is you and your desire, and then something externally that is also trying to get that desire or also holds that position of that desire, that would be your third party. And again, apologies for the creaking. JRC says, "Hey everyone, howdy howdy." JRC is I'm glad to have you here today. I didn't think I would, considering it was a Saturday, but that's really cool. Glad to have you here. Ooh. Hello.
Would you like a drink?
Yes, please. Hashan says 3P is just your fear insecurities that manifest essentially in the form of taking what it is that you want. Affiliate Jumpstart says, "Ayo, what's up, Matt? Not a lot at the moment. Katie's just got the kids put to bed. She's obviously just there. And yeah, just chilling. How's things your way?" Jordan Strang says, "Howdy, howdy, one and all, as well as Matt and Katie. Howdy, howdy to you too. Glad to have you here, Jordan." Oh, yeah, Jordan Strang said that. Glad to have you here, Jordan. But yeah, it's Christmas Eve is a weird day. I know not everyone here is sort of referencing Christmas, but considering it is Christmas Eve, it's a strange day because it's like a very slow day because of the preparations of Christmas. But obviously, it's not got the excitement of like, oh, look what the kids have got and look what we've got, and it's just a very slow day. Slower than normal, I found actually. Like I've been doing emails and stuff, been tidying the house and all that kind of stuff, and I've just felt like it's just dragged. But it's been a good day, just a slow one. JRC says, "Thanks, brother. I have every other off unless I'm working on a side job." Oh, I see. Makes sense then. But I'm glad you make it to this one, to this Christmas Eve special. It's not really special. There's nothing special about it. It's just a normal life. But you know, the thoughts there. I am says, "Hey everyone, Merry Christmas to y'all. Merry Christmas to you too." Hashan says, "Are you ready for an not new year?" I'm assuming that means. I am not. I mean, it depends what element of it you're talking about. If you're talking about no self-infliction, then yeah, I don't do that anymore. But if you're talking about overall, then I have a partner, so it's very difficult for me to not. Otherwise, I get beaten up. But you know what? I might just do just New Year's for you. Jordan Strang says, "Yeah, today kind of feels like a filler day. Glad I'm not the only one feeling like that." Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? You think it would be super exciting and like, oh, let's get everything ready, and it's not. It's because like shops are obviously closing quite soon. Most people aren't working, or they're having. Well, most people probably aren't working today, but at least yesterday they were having like shorter days and stuff. So it just feels like a very slow build up for, in my opinion, nothing special. I think Christmas is a bit of an overrated thing. Talking of leaving work early and stuff, yesterday was my last official day working for my company, or my old company, so that's really exciting. So now I'm officially a free person who now needs to get those clients in order to survive. Yay me. The stress. Kelsey says, thank you. Kelsey says, "My ex and I recently separated due to my actions and listening to others' opinions and going off my emotions. I really want to work things out. She recently was telling me she's getting to know someone else and interested in them. What approach should I take?" So them being interested in someone else is not really your concern. I mean, obviously, yes, you are going to be concerned by it, but that isn't an element of this that you should consider purely because in a reality in which you are concerned about her being with someone else or even being interested in someone else, that would imply that she is. You want to be occupying a reality in which she is yours. So in that reality, she wouldn't be worrying about anybody else. So therefore, you shouldn't either. So the first thing is to take all attention away from the idea of her being with someone else, interested in someone else, or whatever it is that she's telling you. And then the other element is to get clear on what kind of relationship you want, what you want to experience with them, whether you just want to be back the way it was, whether you want to be back better than ever. Just get clear on kind of what you want. And then create scenes and statements that imply that that's already the case for you. So if it's an affirmation, it could be, "I'm in the most loving, passionate relationship with," and then insert name. Or if it's a visualization, you could be visualizing you two spending your 1-year anniversary together or something of that nature. And then you loop these scenes and statements in your mind as if you're really there right now and dwell in them and take on the persona of this person. And by that, I mean, as you're operating through your day, anything that is in line with this end result, feed into, whether it's thoughts, feelings, or actions. If it's not, either flip the thoughts into be what you want, or breathe through it and let it go, or just straight up ignore it if it's not that big of an issue. And then continue to persist doing that until it comes in, basically. Affiliate Jumpstart says things are going really good on my end. I've been getting more laser focused on what I want to manifest long term. And then you also say, I'll be at my grandma's in a few hours, just chilling for now, lol. Okay, so first off, I'm glad that you're getting more laser focused on what you want long term. Always a great thing to know kind of where you're headed. And the second part of going to your grandma's, I hope you have a good time while you're there. Hashan says, Matt, living in the end versus living from the end. So this is an interesting statement that I hear made, because to me they're very much one and the same. If you were to say, Matt, thinking from the end or thinking of the end, that would make more sense to me. But living in the end is living in the end result, and thinking and living from the end is operating from it, which is the same thing in my opinion. So when people say that really confuses me. But like I said, if you were to say thinking of the end versus thinking from the end, one of them would be implying thinking one day I'll get this, or things won't be how they are now when I'm operating this reality. That's thinking of the end. Thinking from the end is, now that I'm occupying this reality, XYZ is happening. It's essentially just that. Are you thinking of it as if it's outside of you, or are you thinking from it as if you are currently occupying it? Affiliate Jumpstart says, my last day was the 20th. How was it? Was it good? Mine was slow because it was only me and one other person in the office, and it was just like a drag. We just sat there talking all day, and I just played games on my phone. Someone sent me a message about something. Oh, it's fine. But yeah, how was your last day? I'm glad to be gone, JRC says, congratulations, dude, you're kicking butt. I absolutely am, considering it's only been it's like a year today. It's a year today that my first video went out. Happy 1 year. Woo. But considering that, yeah, I think we're doing really well. So I'm quite proud of myself. I'm proud of, obviously, Katie for helping me get here, and I'm very proud of all of you guys and grateful to all of you for helping me get here by supporting the channel and still continuing to do so. Without you, we couldn't be here. I could post all the videos in the world, but if no one's going to trust me enough to listen to what I say and support the channel, then it means nothing. Affiliate Jump says my last day at work. I assumed. George Strong says, also, Matt, happy 1 year anniversary of YouTube. I think you said it was today in the last stream. It was very well done for remembering. You remembered before I did, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Gleese, apologies if I said that wrong. Matt, I get everything you say about not focusing on time, but any advice on how to deal with getting angry and doubtful about no contact for months while affirming and visualizing as fuck daily? Thank you. So I get everything you say about not focusing on time, but any advice on how to deal with it? So my question, my response to that would be, figure out why you're getting angry. Now, I'm assuming obviously it is the element of time. You sort of advice on how to deal with getting angry and doubtful about no contact for months. So you're obviously reacting to the fact that there is an element of time. But I think the first thing to do would be to figure out, why do you want it so fast? Now, other than the broad statement of, well, because I want to live my desired life, is there anything else that is making it so that you are so reactive of what's going on? Because there's wanting something fast, and then there's having negative emotions about it not being here. So I think the first thing to do is figure out why this thing, and why do you need it right now? What are you expecting to get as a result of this thing? What void is that filling? Once you figure that out, work on filling that void yourself, because you're only so in need of this thing because you perceive this thing to provide something to you that you don't currently have. But you can give everything yourself first in the first place. That's what this is all about. So provide yourself whatever it is that you're expecting this thing to provide you, and then you won't notice the time as much. You won't care as much, and it'll be so much easier to live from the end as opposed to of the end, just like Hashan asked a minute ago. So that would be my first step. And then from there, you can obviously work on it and continue persisting from that outlook. And that's pretty much all that you should need, because, like I said, your emotions and thoughts are based on how you are perceiving this time of no contact, and it's all about perception. So you are perceiving it as, why is it not here yet? Like XYZ could be happening instead. Whereas other people may perceive it as, I'm glad we're in no contact because this gives me time to work on all the things I never got to when I was with them. So life's all about your perception of things, and work on why you're perceiving it from a negative standpoint instead of a positive, and see what you can do about that. JRC says, hit the like button, help Matt for helping us. That would be very helpful. Thank you for reminding everyone, JRC. Oh, it skipped. I remembered live chat today.
Well done.
Services are no longer needed.
Yeah, I did check. If you did.
Jordan Strang says, thanks for reminding us, JRC. You've just reminded me. It's very helpful. Kelsey says, thank you. You're very welcome. Gleese says, by the way, everyone should hit the like button for the wonderful Matt and Katie. Thank you very much, Gleese, and for JRC for both remembering and supporting. It really does help. You'd be surprised just how much a difference one like makes. One like and a decent amount of watch time on a video can literally make all the difference. Elena C says, could you recommend an affirmation that helps me become the best friend with this person? And that's how they see me as well. Literally just something as simple as I am, whatever their name is, I am person's best friend and they absolutely adore having me around all the time. That's something that you could say. Or the friendship I and person and I have is so strong that I'm top of their friends list, for example. I would probably go for the first one. That sounds more natural to say that, I'm their best friend and the bond that they have is so strong, something like that. But just basically break it up. What do you want? You want to be their best friend. What would that imply to you? It would mean that we spend every day together. Cool. I am person's best friend and we spend every day together. That could be like basically the way that you would structure affirmation. Hisham says, I want to work with you in other areas too, like other goals. I visualize myself as very successful and mentioning you as my mentality coach. Well, I'm more than happy to work with anyone through anything as long as I can actually give the advice. Like if you were to come to me saying, how can I do croquet? Is it croquet? Crochet. Obviously, I wouldn't be very good at. I can't even say it.
Crochet is a sport, isn't it?
I think it is with the sticks and the net, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be very helpful
at either of those.
Either of those things.
Crochet or croquet.
But obviously, if it's sort of stuff about like life in general, I could probably be some help, and I'm more than happy to help anybody out. It doesn't just have to be LOA stuff. I know obviously the channel is Lawofassumption's Backdoor, which is actually one of the reasons why I'm thinking about changing the name of the channel, because I do go into a lot more than just LOA stuff when it comes to my coaching. Often it depends on obviously what the person's coming to me for, but there will be elements of going further in. And I'm more than happy to help anybody with any sort of mentality stuff. So if you are in need of mentality help, by all means, pop over to either my website or hit me up and we can discuss it. But yeah, I'm more than happy to work with you, Hashan, on all that stuff. And I mean, it'd be really cool to have you being very successful and then obviously me being there along the journey. That would be really cool for my own sort of reward as an individual helping you, I can't really speak for other coaches, but I must admit, for me personally, having someone compliment or say that my help has changed their life is actually much more rewarding to me than the money of doing the coaching. Obviously, I need the money as an element to be able to survive from it. But trust me, those comments that people put where they're like, oh, it was really helpful, changed my life. That shit means so much. It honestly does. Affiliate Jumpstart says, it was a fun last day overall. I'll miss the people, but not being at work. Yeah, I feel that. It's difficult because you get attached to them and you're like, oh, I'm going to not see these people anymore. And then you're like, but I like them. But then when you think about, but if I was to stay here, it would be pretty shit. So I completely understand. Luckily for me, the job that I've just left was actually really good. So had I stayed, I would have been quite happy, but I definitely feel so much more free. Got so much more plans on what to do with the business and just getting back on Instagram more and getting back on TikTok more, just as for starters, because I don't know if any of you follow me on Instagram. If you don't, you should go and follow me. It's just the same handle, Lawofassumption's Backdoor. But I haven't posted anything other than us hitting 4K the other day. And then other than that, I didn't post anything for ages. And it's mostly just because I don't have the time to do all the videos, do all the coaching, do my 9 to 5, and then make additional posts and stuff. But now that I've quit, I finally can. So I'm going to be a lot more active on all of those as well. Jordan Strang says, I kind of feel that with uni, I feel kind of lost without the daily grind at Affiliate Jumpstart. Yes, that's why you've always got to have something going on for sure. Even if it's just like a hobby that you can really delve into, just something so that you can keep some form of, this is what I'm going to get up and do today. Otherwise, it just feels really strange. Nighttime Jay says, hey, recently the exact opposite of my manifestation unfolded. I did my best to not freak out and I tried to turn positively, but admittedly, it's tough. It always will be, I'll never, ever expect anyone to just be able to look past the things that happen that are bad. I don't do it. Obviously you don't see my life. You only see what I talk about, but I'll happily hold my hand up and say that I still react from time to time. And I know what I'm talking about. So it is tough, but what matters is how you handle it. It's fine to react as long as you go forward in a more positive light. If you react and then panic about your reaction, that's where the spiral comes. If you react and then go, you know what, I did it, I'm just going to move forward, that's fine. So I think you should be proud of yourself for getting through. You said admittedly it's tough, but you didn't say anything about actually freaking out. You said you tried your best not to and tried to turn it positive, but admittedly it's tough. So I think that deserves a lot of credit, because it's not easy when the opposite of what you want happens. So kudos to you. Glee says, I feel like that will never happen unless I push the 3D, even though I shouldn't. Let me go see what you said, just because I get everything you said about oh, you feel like, I feel like it will never happen unless I push the 3D. Oh, so you feel like the getting back into contact will never happen. Okay, so that is obviously not helping you. I can't say whether or not you've been thinking that a lot, but even just thinking it will probably never happen unless I do X, Y, Z, that's an assumption that's working against you. So you could be doing all the affirmations in the world, but if your dominant state is that of it's not going to work, that's what you're going to get. So try to cut back on that kind of stuff. A good little exercise. I don't usually reference going into the how much, but if you are really struggling with the how, do an exercise of thinking all the possibilities that you possibly can from a logical mindset of how it could happen. Literally just anything, no matter how stupid it sounds, any possible way that it could happen. Then you have there a limited version of yourself saying it could happen through XYZ way. Your subconscious mind has no limitation. So if you logically can come up with 10 ways, your subconscious mind is not going to have any problem coming up with more. That's usually a good way to kind of get on board with it could happen. B says, what to do if I don't like how these Christmas went? Like, I kind of didn't click with others, and now I don't know if revision can help. Any advice? Can their disappointment I saw change? Well, yeah, because it's all perception. So if you're perceiving them as disappointed, then obviously that's probably what they're going to be. When you start changing that perception of them, whether it's through revision or whether it's just going forward, now you can either revise the event and change it to what you want, or go forward just simply telling yourself a new story. They're both obviously elements of revision, and they will change, but you have to make sure that you are feeding into that new story more than you're feeding into what you have experienced. But yes, it absolutely can change. And my advice on what you can do would literally just be get clear on what it was that you wanted instead, and then go forward telling you that that is exactly what happened. Abinaya says, hey, howdy, Abinaya. Glad to have you here. It's been a long
I
time.
manifested you being here today, just so you know that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, because I haven't seen you in a long time and I was getting a little bit concerned. So I was like, don't worry, Abinaya will be in the live. And there you are. Hello.
Sweet. But yeah, glad to have you here. Pranver, apologies if I said that wrong, says, hello, howdy. Hashan says, wondering on how and the middle is a bitch. It works against most of the time. I use the affirmation that I bounce back from negative even stronger, and so is happening. Well, that's good. I mean, it's a good affirmation to have, because at least it covers your back a little bit when maybe things aren't going so great. So definitely sounds good. JRC says, I got to be honest, this past week has been difficult. Lots of not so good stuff. SB talked about hanging out before Christmas, but took off out of town instead. Okay, well, I wouldn't take that personally. Obviously, things do come up for people. Maybe they had an emergency. We don't know. So I get it. When things are tough, the best thing that you can do is just remember that if you're going through hell, there's no reason to stop there, because why would you stop in hell? So just continue to persist. What you can do with the situation. Is there any perspective changes that you could make to it? And just do your best to pull yourself back together when you can. Like I said a second ago, reacting and being sad or having bad moments isn't the end of the world. It's how you move forward from them that matters. But hopefully everything gets better. And obviously, I haven't been too active in the Discord because of obviously working and stuff, but I will be going back to the Discord a lot more consistently now that I'm doing it full time. And I'll hopefully be able to be there as like a little bit of a, what's it called? Like moral support sort of thing, a bit more consistently. But hopefully everything gets better. Monica Santos says, hi guys, happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too. JRC says, Abinaya with 3 exclamation marks. Michelle says, do I have to affirm after I manifest? No, so you don't have to, but depending on where you're at, it might be beneficial to at least just persist in it a little bit more, just to solidify that assumption. The reason why I say that is a lot of people, I say a lot, there are a portion of people who will get their desire and then they're like, yeah, I've got it, I'll stop affirming. And then all the old story starts to creep back in. They start to fear, they start to panic. So I would advise at least staying consistent with your mindset to the state of, this is what I was thinking in order to get it. I need to make sure that I'm still staying true to that kind of thinking, instead of thinking, oh, now they're back, but they could leave me again, or they could this, or they could that. that's obviously going to be a problem and could potentially lead to that happening. So you have to just at least stay consistent with your mindset work. Whether or not that's through affirming is up to you, but you definitely do need to stay consistent with making sure you're thinking the right things. It will become more of a natural assumption. You won't have to do it as much, but it's better to catch those thoughts when they do come up. Abinaya says, JRC, hi, with a couple of emojis. I'm glad to see people like bonding in here. It's nice to see that you guys actually like look forward to seeing each other in the chats as well. That's quite nice. B says, if I want to be such a pro, B says, if I want to be at such a pro level at figure skating, but obviously I'm not, can acting as if embodying it not just improve my skills, but really make me, let's say, win the Olympics? I mean, it's all possible. I mean, there's times when I'm a little bit like bad with this, to be fair. I definitely don't stay as consistent as I should. But there's times when I'll be practicing my vocals for the band and stuff. And on a week where I like feel good, I'll like practice and I'll be like, yeah, no, I'm like the shit. That session will be amazing. But then as soon as I start getting into my own head, the next time I go to record, it absolutely sucks. So you literally can just improve yourself by just assuming that you can do the thing that you're trying to do. Whether or not it's pro level, I was obviously going to take a little bit of consistency, but you definitely can make those improvements just by assuming that you can do it, because I do it all the time with my band. I actually did it yesterday as well, my driving lesson. I haven't driven in the rain yet, and it was raining in the morning, and I got in my own head about like worrying about the rain and stuff. And when I actually got into the car, no rain, but because I'd got into my own head about the lesson, the first 15 minutes were dreadful. Like honestly, I actually physically, we pulled up into a car park, I got outside and just sat on the floor for like 5 minutes. It was awful. And then I was just reminding myself that it was just like, it was me. I was getting so worked up over the rain that I ended up making the whole lesson iffy, and just reminding myself, all I got to do is just chill out. And that's exactly what I did. I got back in the car and I just reminded myself that I can drive. I just got in my own head, and the rest of the session was perfectly fine. So you can do it. You can improve just by telling yourself that you can. Top FJ says, can I manifest an amazing football skills and become pro and be recruited for a pro team at 19? They say it's impossible to become a pro at this age. How should I go about this? You basically just said it all there. You know what you want. You want to be you want to have amazing football skills, become pro, and be recruited for a pro team at your age. So if you're already at that age, then assume it right now. And those things. I'm a pro footballer with amazing football skills right now. Obviously that was a terribly worded affirmation, but you get what I mean. Like, you state those things, and yes, you absolutely can do it. You can say something.
I was going to say something. So you've put in there that they say it's nearly impossible to do that at 19. I think you should definitely flip that in your head, that nobody has seen you do it yet, therefore that's why they say it's impossible, sort of thing. That's why people think it's impossible, because nobody's seen you do it yet. Because yeah, I'm really bad for assumptions, like group assumptions. So like, the whole idea that, no one ever really wins the lottery. So no one ever really, it's a big group assumption that everybody has, and it bounces onto you. And so you take on that assumption. But yeah, one way that I flip that in myself is nobody's seen me do it yet. That's why they think it's impossible. So yeah.
Yeah, but it is entirely possible. You just have to make sure that you're assuming it is for you too, like Katie said, and make those assumptions start up now. Affiliate Jumpstart says, my job overall, I liked it. Was just, I was constantly thinking about wanting to post more videos while I was there. Yeah, I feel that. I was doing a lot of my business stuff while I was there, like on my lunch breaks and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, I'd rather just be at home doing this, working until 10 and then starting to plan videos and stuff, instead of going to the office, sitting there and waiting until 12 to get back to people. And it was just, I completely understand. Nighttime Jay says, thank you. You're very welcome. B said, oh my God, I love how you patiently read every single line everyone writes. Wow, you're so incredible and deserve the world. You can't even imagine how much you're helping us for free. Wow. Thank you very much. Well, I do aim to do my absolute best to help everybody as best I can, because that's what we made the channel for. To be fair, like, I didn't expect the channel to grow as much as it did when I first made it. And my first video was literally just, here's how I did some things. This might help you too. And then it's made such a difference. So yeah, I try my best to make sure that everyone's getting the help that they could potentially need. But thank you very much for the kind words. It means a lot when people say those kind of things, Kiati says, how many affirmations should one loop over at night? Also, what's your opinion on 8-hour sleep affirmations? Are they highly effective? So the amount of affirmations is entirely up to you. I mean, I have anywhere between 3 and 5 just because I find it easier to loop them when I have a smaller amount. But I've had success when I've like used loads in the past, and I've had success when I've used like 2. So it's entirely a personal preference, what makes you feel good and what makes you feel like you're covering all bases. As for the 8-hour sleep affirmation tapes, I think they are effective. I definitely think they're more effective than if you want to do them. Um, I've had a couple of my clients say that they've done really well with the affirmations tape that we've made. So I have nothing to say against them. Whether they're highly effective, again, I think that's all personal from person to person. But I have definitely seen results in my own life from them. I used to use Kim Velez's 8-hour ones back, like way back when, and found good use of them. And I've had people say that the 8-hour one, not 8-hour one, sorry, but the hour one that we posted a couple of months back has been really helpful. And then I've had people say that the affirmations tape that we've actually custom made for them has been really helpful. So I would say that yes, they are highly effective. Kashan says, yeah, man, that is why your masculine presence in mindset coaching means a lot. I respect Joey too for the same reason. Well, it's needed. I definitely think it's needed because while I 100% believe that you can sit back and just say, I am this and receive it, I think it's very difficult when you perceive yourself to be so like low in importance, low in value, low in worth, all that kind of stuff. And I do think that even though you don't need to be like a strong individual mentally in order to have your desires manifest, it is so much easier. It's so much easier to just assume that people are going to want to be in your life when you're, 6-figure income, doing whatever you want. You can take people anyway. You can pay for all of your friends' meals and stuff like that. Like, when you build up that level of self-value and a general life around you, LOA is so much easier, which is why I used to preach it so much in my like older videos, not older, like my mid-range videos, to make sure that you've got other things going on, like businesses and stuff like that. But then I got reminded that maybe not everyone's interested in it. So I kind of cut down on it a little bit. And that was why I made the second channel, which I will start up again very soon now that I've quit my job. JRC says, I still want Matt to do a day in the life of conscious manifesting. So yes, we actually spoke about this a while ago on comments. And I think it's a great idea. The only reason why I haven't yet is purely because of my job. It was very difficult to obviously do a day in the life when the vast majority of my life or of my day was spent in an office where I couldn't obviously have my phone out recording. And obviously on the weekend we'd have the kids. And the only day that I did my own job when no one was the business when no one was here was Mondays. But because I was trying to fit in all of my, or as many of my video call clients as possible, all my emails, recording videos and stuff, I just, even though I could have technically had done it, it would have been very difficult for me to fit all of that in while also trying to record myself doing it all. So now that I have the time, I will definitely be looking into making a video like it. I don't know fully how I'm going to, because obviously manifesting, unless I'm saying the affirmations out loud or scripting, you obviously won't see what's going on because it's all up here. But I will definitely be doing something like that for you guys soon, now that I have time.
You could like record just little clips throughout the day and then voice over what you were doing.
That's also possible. But it'd be very difficult for me to record me recording a video, for example, or like, obviously this says a day in the life of a conscious manifester, but obviously, I would just do more elements of my life, but I use my phone for the recording. So it'd be very difficult for me to record myself without something to record myself. So I'll figure it out. I'm looking into getting a camera soon, like a proper camera, so that I can record better videos and do more stuff, because I've been doing also a lot of research on how to improve my videos. One of the things that was like a small thing that you can change but makes all the difference is like having one camera here and then another one like there, for example, both recording at me at the same time. And then I'll speak to this one and then I'll make a point to that one. And apparently the image change can actually have like a big impact on someone's retention. So just little things like that. And a lot of the stuff that I want to do involves a better camera. So I will be looking into all of that to make more videos, hopefully better videos, because like I said, if every single person that watched a video watched it for a minute longer than they do, it would make so much of a difference, because YouTube bases the algorithm on how much someone is watching. So if you all watch for 5 minutes on a 15-minute video, it's probably going to be like, oh, only a third of the watch time. But if you watch 6 minutes, it's then over a third, which is just a little bit better. And then it pushes it out more and so on and so forth. So all these little changes that I can make, I'm going to try to make so that I can basically just get a better YouTube channel going, I suppose. because
Sorry.
that's fine. Because I do believe that there are things that you can do to build on your assumptions to create. So everyone will sit there and say, "Oh, just live in the end and it will happen." Yeah, entirely. Like it can. But I also liked the idea of learning, because when I learn and assume that, oh, this is going to work, when I do it, it starts to work. Alcans says, it's been 1 year and 3 months since I broke up with my SP. I've done pretty much every technique and no results yet. Any suggestions? I'm starting to lose hope at this point. Please help me. Okay, so I think the first thing, it's very difficult because that's a whole lot of time to basically break down just based on one comment. But I did see it that you actually said something below, but I will get to that in a second. I think the thing to look into is, why were you doing pretty much every technique under the sun? Like that's the place that I like to start, because manifestation is based on being in the state of having. Now, you can obviously try and test out different techniques based on, do you enjoy this? Do you not enjoy this? All that kind of stuff. But overall, manifestation or conscious creation is that of being in the state of already having. Now, if you already have it, why are you then jumping from technique to technique to technique to technique, trying to get the results? So that shows most of the time, obviously not for everyone, but that shows most of the time that you're probably in the wrong state the vast majority of the time anyway. Because if you were to do affirmations for a week and go, oh, it's not working, I'm just going to move on to something else, your state is that of not working. And for you to take that time of the week to be looking and still get no results, not to say that you will get results within a week, but if you were to change after a week and just say, oh, it's not working, go on to something else, then you're in the state of not having. And then you do the next thing, assume it doesn't work, state of not having. So I think the first thing to wonder is, were you doing every technique in the place of having it already? Or were you doing it from the place of trying to make it happen? And then when it didn't happen within the timescale that you wanted, then you were just like, oh, it's not working, and moving on. Because that's always the best place to start. And then obviously you can build up from there. Jordan Strong says, in relation to the thing I put on Discord yesterday, second day of the Sabbath state, regarding that, had a really vivid visualization last night. And even though I don't see much movement 3D wise, I definitely feel movement internally. That's what matters. This is all old. Everything you see out there is all old shit. Like, none of it matters, because as long as you feel it internally, it's on its way. I think that's the thing that people need to really grasp is, fuck what's going on out there. Just make sure that in here, you're in the right place. You can feel like £1 million in here and be broke out there, but you know that because it's in here, it's going to come at some point. So I'd say that you're in a good place for sure. B says, oh my God, yes, do a day in the life. I will definitely work on it probably after the new year is when everything's going to start, the more videos and all that kind of stuff, just because obviously with Christmas and yada, 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 it's a lot more difficult because the kids are off, Katie's off, and we're going left, right, and center to all these different places. But I will look into doing it. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Top FJS says, if someone has manifested that everyone finds them attractive, then why don't I find them attractive? It's just a hypothetical question. Well, a good question, actually. I mean, the idea of everyone finding you attractive, how do you know they've manifested it? I think that's probably you say it's hypothetical, so I'm assuming just for the hypothetical sense, you know that they have, but I'm curious to see where this has come from, and under the basis of, how do you know that they've manifested it? How do you know that they've, like, quote unquote, been successful to do so? And I think the element of that is there's natural assumptions as well that will be coming up. So it's like, no one will ever find everyone. Hang on, no one. Because we're all so differently, no one will find everyone attractive, and not everyone will ever find one person attractive. I think hopefully that made sense. Purely because of the massive, like, borderline amounts of different people that there are. Like, there's obviously, I'm English, short, white, blonde. So, and I'm completely different to someone who might be Nigerian, to someone who might be Greek. Like, there's all these different places that are completely different to me. So the idea that every single person would find me attractive when there's all these different people out there, it's very unlikely. I do also believe that we do have to abide by certain laws that govern the universe. And I do genuinely believe that the differences in people is one of them. Now, you can make someone be attractive to you, but specifically them. You would have to focus specifically on them. The idea of the broader everyone is a very unlikely thing to impress your subconscious mind with, because in order to make it happen, you would also have to go against the assumption that because everyone is different, there will be different tastes. I think I probably made that more confusing than I meant to, but hopefully that makes sense. Because
I think I don't know if I've got you completely right, but what you're trying to say is that naturally in your brain, you will already assume the type of people who find you attractive. So you will already have an assumption that men that have tattoos will find me attractive because I am, like, straight men that have tattoos will find me attractive because I am a female with tattoos, sort of thing. So that would be like your natural in your head assumption already. So then when you was to try and impress your subconscious with everybody finds me attractive, you already have the assumption of the type of person who finds you attractive. Therefore, unless you say specifically this person who is exactly like this and this like detail of them, you can't make somebody find you attractive by being broad, because you already have a natural assumption of who will find you attractive. Like, I won't walk down the street and think instantly that every single man will find me attractive, because some are gay, some are asexual, some won't be interested in me because of my age, some won't. So we already have those assumptions that actually a 73-year-old little like gay man is not going to find me attractive, you know? So I think is that what you were trying to say?
But basically, yeah. And there's the other element of this is you're occupying your reality. So they will occupy, if they were to successfully manifest that, hypothetically, they would occupy a reality in which it was the case. But because you have a different opinion, you operate a different reality in which it's not the case, because you are still the operant power in your reality. We just shift between them. That was a very long explanation for a hypothetical question. Dawn Strang,
hypothetically.
yeah. Dawn Strang says, I definitely feel movement into. Oh yeah, I already answered that one. Jade Lamb says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. Okay, so this is Alkans's like addition to what they said a second ago. If I could just get a sign that something is happening, I would probably stay positive, but I just don't see anything happening at all. I love my SP. Any ideas or suggestions would be highly appreciated. So obviously the first stuff that I said before about like looking into certain thing. I need to remind myself what your original comment was. Oh yeah, about why you were doing the techniques and stuff and were you actually doing them from the right place. The other element is, if I could just get a sign that something is happening. You wouldn't be saying that if you had the sign or if you were with them. And I understand that you're putting that comment here, obviously, for some advice and stuff, so it's absolutely fine. But if you're thinking like that normally, that would be something to reconsider, because that implies that you're currently in a situation where you don't have it, which is you operating from the state of not having. So stuff like that. And I find it interesting, not specifically from you, like loads of people do this all the time. I find it very interesting when people just have that breaking point where they're like, it's been 1 year and 3 months. Why not 1 year and 2 months? Why not 1 year, 1 month? What is it about this 1 year and 3 months that's made you question it? That's more of like just an interest thing that you should look into for your own self, just to see kind of where your mindset is at. But that's always something that I find interesting, is like what people's breaking points are to say, all right, I've done this long enough, you know? But just look into where your thoughts are going, and how are you doing it from the place of having it, or are you doing it from the place of trying to get it? Jay Lamb says, in both of your experience, how do you guys persist? Like, what is it that motivates you to keep going? So for me personally, there's two things. The first thing is success. I've had successes with it, so I know that what I'm doing works, and all I got to do is just keep going with it. The second thing is, I don't often like to give up with pretty much everything. It'll be very rare that I do give up. And if I do, it's usually for like a genuinely good reason, and it's just general life stuff. And because of that, it's like if I want something, I'll persist until I get it, until I decide I don't want it anymore. What about you?
So my main one is stubbornness. That's probably the main one. No, actually, I'd say probably the kids are my main one. I want everything to be completely and perfect, and like completely perfect for them. And so I will do absolutely anything in my power to make sure that I am in a good mental state. Therefore, I can create everything that they need and everything that they want. And the second one is definitely stubbornness. I have spent pretty much my entire life being constantly reminded that I am not quite good enough. So, you know, that's not quite good enough. That's not that great. That's not amazing. A lot of my teachers told me that I would fail, and out of like pure stubbornness, I passed because they told me that I would fail, and I was like, no. So yeah, I think it is just straight up like a need to impress, not a need to impress people for their sake, but for the fact that they told me that I couldn't, and then I have to prove a point that I can. But yeah, I think Luna's
Yeah, she is. You think that knowing that they need to go to sleep
Christmas
for Father Christmas, that okay, we both spoke, like we're saying different things. You think that like the kids knowing that Father Christmas needs them to go to sleep in order for them to have him come, they would go straight to sleep. But for some reason, she just wants to keep coming downstairs. Pain in the ass. Abonea says, "Hey, my lovelies. Oh, tis been a long time indeed. And geez, how have you all been? I've been very good, thank you. Katie's doing pretty well. How have you been?" And then you also say, "Also, Kate, you manifested me untouched. Oh my God, no wonder I had thought. I'll remind her of that." Hashan says, "Matt, persistence versus letting go. Depends what state you're in. If you're just in a chill state, you're doing it because you enjoy it, it makes you feel good, persist. If you're in a state of like absolute desperation, like borderline killing yourself trying to get it, let go until you feel in a better state." The idea of like doing the work and then letting go fully, I don't fully agree with. I don't think that that's the most effective way, because, for example, let's say that I was manifesting a person back. I get my person. That doesn't then mean that I let my thoughts go to shit, because of obviously if I do that, then I'll end up getting that shit. So when you're with someone, you kind of always want to keep an eye on your thoughts, or you would already be naturally thinking about, oh, they're going to be home when I get home. They're going to be doing this when I get home. So because of that, even when you're in a relationship, your thoughts are still that of being in this relationship. Your thoughts are still that of having this person. Or sorry, a better example actually maybe your work. Your thoughts are still that of I've got to get up tomorrow to go to work. You don't stop thinking about work just full stop now that you've got the job. Yes, you may not think about it as much, but you are still thinking about it. You're still thinking about what you're doing. You're still thinking from the end of having a job. Therefore, the idea of not having the job, saying I have my job for a week and then just never saying it ever again, just seems weird to me, because even in a reality where you have it, you would still think about having it to some extent. So I think that you will always need to persist, but maybe not in a way of doing the 10,000 affirmations challenge, but you will still need to persist in the idea of I'm thinking about my job. Let me just flip those thoughts to make sure that I'm thinking the right thing. Even if you don't want to affirm as much as you were prior, you still need to be persisting in the idea of staying as the person you're claiming yourself to be, because you would do anyway, even if you had your desire. Like if someone will say to you, "What do you do for a living?" You don't go, "I'm not going to tell you that because I'm supposed to be letting go." You just say, "Oh, I work in construction." Boom, there's your affirmation. I work in construction. You see what I mean? But like I said, going back to the original, you almost just killed Rogan. Going back to the original, base it on where you're at mentally. Are you really desperate? Because if so, pull back. If you're just doing it for fun, you enjoy the process, can just continue persisting in that. Also, Abonea says, "Also, Kat, you manifested me. I'm touched. Oh my God, no wonder I had a thought last night that I should be heading over to your live today."
Yeah, I did. I was thinking about you quite a bit because I haven't seen you in a very long time. And I was like, oh, I wonder if Anand is okay. And then I was like, don't worry, in the live. So there you are.
Anand. You said
Abonea.
Anand. Oh, you said Anand. I mean, Anand's another one that we see quite often as well.
And they're both A's. Sorry.
Glee says, "Dear Matt and Katie, thank you so much for your help. You have helped me tremendously through a difficult time. You have no idea just how much of a difference you made. Have a wonderful Christmas." Well, I'm very glad to hear it. And thank you very much for your kind words. And you have a wonderful Christmas too. Abonea says, "See, Matt, look how Katie, my little sweetie pie, thought about me. I knew I got her back. She's a cinnamon roll." Yeah, take it off my hands if you want.
No. That's so mean. Don't forget, we're getting married.
We're not getting married. Not happening. Aditi says, "Matt, how can I make my SP ready to commit to me and be more loving?" See, okay, so the first thing is try to remove that element of control. You're not making them, you're just perceiving them slightly different. I know obviously like there's no free will and such, but the idea of making just sounds a lot more controlling. And I think that usually can come from quite an unhealthy place. So just the first little thing would maybe just change the way that you're perceiving the work that you're doing, because you're not making them be a certain way. You're just changing the way that you perceive them and the way that you perceive your reality. But with that aside, get clear on what it means to be ready to commit to you, be more loving, because being ready to commit and actually committing are slightly different things. Someone can be ready without ever actually committing to you, because you get what you are, not what you want. So if you're wanting him to be ready to commit and that's what you sit in the state of being, that's what you'll get, which may never actually be the commitment. So my advice would be get clear on what you actually want by ready to commit and be more loving. I'm assuming a committed relationship, and then start to live in the end of that. Anything that is in line with that, whether it's your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, or even 3D circumstances, great. Dwell on it and enjoy it. If it's something that is against it, Either look past it, breathe through it, or flip those thoughts to be in line with what you want. And it's just that. It's just changing your mindset to be receiving it the way that you want it to be. Abinay says, for Christmas, I'm stealing Katie. She's all mine now. Again, take off my hands. Rohan says, I realize one of my previous doubts is happening now in the 3D since months in manifesting, SP manifesting. It's a repeating cycle since childhood. How can I break through it? Okay, so if you are aware of it being a repeating cycle since childhood, I would advise that you look deeper into the circumstance. If it's something that you know since childhood, look deeper into the cycle that happens. Is there something that begins to trigger it in order to make you think it? For example, if I say everyone that I want doesn't ever want me back, the idea of this would be, a better example would be if I was to say, once I like someone, they don't like me back. The cycle would be once I start to like someone, they obviously don't. And that's usually the trigger point. So what is it at that point that I start to let things get in the way of me? Because a lot of the times, assumptions that play out over and over and over again aren't actually that of, well, they are in some cases, but they aren't actually that assumption. So having the assumption of this is what happens over and over again is only an assumption because you allow it to happen over and over again. You don't actually work on shifting it, which means all you have to do is the next time it comes around, start to adjust the way that you go forward. And this would be how you would think, feel, and act if you were the way that you wanted to be instead. So you say here, how can I break through it? Since childhood. So when this situation next comes up, before the situation next comes up, look back. What have you been doing over and over again? The same thing. How has the same thing kept happening? What is it that's happening to you internally in order to let this happen again instead of changing it? Then the next time it comes up, now that you have more in-depth thoughts about it, and then you can start to change it when it does actually start to happen. So if once I like someone, they don't like me was your assumption, you know that now that you're starting to like someone, you start to depedestalize yourself, which is why they end up not liking you back. Or you feel like you're not good enough for them to want you back, which is why they end up not liking you, because you're putting too much in because now you like them. If that's the pattern, how do you intend to change it going forward? Well, I'll know that I'm the one that's worthy. And just because I like them, that doesn't then mean that my worth has gone down. And you start to operate from this assumption instead, and you change the behavior that you have in the situation when the behavior needs to be changed. Hopefully that helps. Abinaya says, good luck manifesting her from me, Matt. I wasn't going to try.
Aditi, why are you so mean?
I'm not.
Why are you so mean?
She's trying to take you off my hands. So
she's fighting for me.
I'll just put her in a timeout then. Aditi says, please reply to my question. How can I make my SP commit to me 100% and be more loving? I have answered that a second ago. There's a little bit of a delay because I'm trying to get through the comments. So if I haven't responded immediately, I will get around to it at some point.
We just go down the list
like
one at a time. But yeah.
Natasha Razor says, I just discovered your channel yesterday and your advice has made me feel better. I'm glad to hear it. Can you let Rogan out, please? Let's having an aneurysm. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear the channel has helped you feel better. Rohan says, and I have been very diligent in my manifestation and mental diet. Does it mean that the utterly opposite gets done with? My manifestation will come to fruition. Okay, so I realized one of my previous doubts is repeating. Okay, so that was the cycle one that I just spoke about. So in a lot of cases, if you can be genuinely honest with yourself and say that you are doing the right thing, in the end, you're doing amazing, then a lot of the time that could be considered the purge, which afterwards would imply, yes, your manifestation is coming into fruition if you choose to believe in the purge. I choose to not let the purge be something that I ever really consider personally. And my manifestations don't usually need a bad thing to happen in order for me to get what it is that I'm manifesting, which is obviously what the purge basically is. But if you can be genuinely honest with yourself and say that you do actually keep up that mental diet and everything, and the opposite is only now showing up, it is probably the old story flushing out. But only you can know if that's definitely the case. I don't want to promise anything and then you end up believing me and then like it doesn't come in and you're like, well, you lied to me, because obviously I'm not in your head, so I don't 100% know what's going on. JRC says 25 watching should be 25 likes. Sorry, not sorry. Well, people are like, I'm leaving then. Now it's 22. It is helpful, the likes for sure, but I think people forget, but it's all good. Richie Rich says, I love hearing a young man's perspective. Well, I have a lot of perspective to give, so I'm glad you enjoy it. John Weiss put a smiley face and then put excellent channel that you both have. I can see you, Matt, are authentic and genuinely want to help people. You're doing great work, man. And I am happy to tune in from time to time. Keep it up. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the kind words. I do my absolute best to make sure that I help as many people as I can. John M says, if assumptions harden into fact, if you assume you have no limiting beliefs, will you shift into reality where that is the case? Yes. Limiting beliefs don't exist. If you've seen, I do have the video on this. They don't exist in actuality. So they're not something that is actually in your way that you need to let go of. They're something that you are perceiving to be in your way that you need to let go of. So for example, if I was to say, I can't be with Katie because she lives too far away, that's a limiting belief. But we all know that this, like, nothing matters. Circumstances don't matter. Therefore, if I just focus solely on the idea of me and Katie being together because circumstances don't matter, that must mean the circumstance of the limiting belief of us being too far to be away together must not matter, which means limiting beliefs aren't actually a set in stone thing that you need to move past. Now, it's good to work on them because some people do struggle to just live in the end because they have this thing going on in their mind that's telling them that they can't do it. But you don't actually need to work on the limiting belief that you may have in order to get your desire. They're not like a milestone thing that you have to reach in order to get your thing. You don't have to tackle the distance, then tackle the fact she's got a third person, then tackle this. Just go straight to the end and they will all be tackled as part of the process. But going back to your question, yes, you could just assume that you don't have limiting beliefs and that everything comes to you easily and effortlessly, and you will end up having that play out for you. We have just had a lovely donation from Scorpio Moon of pretty much $10. Thank you very much, Scorpio Moon. That's very kind of you. There's no message there other than the laughing fox. So I'm just going to say thank you very much for the donation. It's very kind of you, and I really appreciate the support of the channel. I never know what else to say really when there's no message, but just know that we do genuinely really appreciate the donation. So thank you very much. And the Scorpio. Oh yeah, we're also Scorpios. We're not getting into astrology today, but we're also Scorpio. John Wee says, also nice to see Kate in the background. Always nice to hear her comments. Very much appreciated input. It's really good to hear from both of you in the lives. I'm glad to hear it. I think that's one of the things that sets this channel apart from most is the fact that it is two people from two different perspectives giving advice. So yeah, I'm glad that Kate being here is beneficial. Jordan Strang says, I've been reading through the comments and it's reminded me to ask something. Is it possible to know/feel that someone is manifesting you? Because I kind of get that feelings happening to me. Now, I don't believe that it's hard to explain. I feel like you can feel it when someone's manifesting you, but that doesn't mean that you have to abide by it. I think if you're being manifested in your reality, this is going to be one of those topics that's very strange because obviously people are like, oh, but there's no such thing as free will and yada, yada, yada. And it's probably going to be one that Katie gets involved in as well. I feel like you can feel that someone else is manifesting you in your desired reality, but you don't have to act on it because it's your reality. They will still get a version of you that wants to be, they will still get a version of you regardless, as long as they're, staying consistent in the end. But you yourself in the reality that you're currently occupying, you will probably feel it, or you will feel it, but you won't have to act on it unless you choose to. And that's how you will end up being with them if they've manifested you, is based on you committing. Now, if you choose in the reality that you're in right now not to go for it, they will just get a different version of you that does. I don't know if that kind of goes in line with what Katie said.
So actually, I didn't really have much to say on this topic because I did not know manifestation was a thing. I didn't know anything about conscious creation. I'd never heard of it, never read any books on it, or that film. I hadn't even heard of that film.
The Secret.
There you go. So I had no concept of somebody's ability to manifest you. But I did know how I felt in the moment. And like I've said quite a few times, it was just this pull. And it was just a massive surprise of what I was doing. I was just going about a normal day and everything like that. And then there was just this surprise. I knew what I had to do and off I went, sort of thing. So yeah, I do believe that you can feel it. And knowing about it afterwards, I now know that was the feeling. But I feel like people who have no idea about this would not know. in any way.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't. It would probably just feel like a natural thing for you if you don't know about like manifestation. But obviously, you obviously do, which is why you're here, and that's why you feel like there's some element of it. I know that there's someone that has manifested me in the past. However, I know that their mindset was awful, and I can assure you that the way that their dominant state would have been, it's very much what I ended up agreeing with, because I definitely know that their dominant state was not what they were manifesting. But so yeah, there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm probably in trouble after this live.
I was just going to say really quickly, for people who have no idea about like manifestation and everything like that, they will just literally feel a switch in their emotion and their like plan, and then that's it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely baffling when that happens to you.
Mm.
You're just like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing. Cool.
A lot of hypotheticals here that are very difficult to describe today. Aditi says, how can you make my SP commit to me and be more loving, be more romantic like he used to be? Well, the first thing to do is stop assuming that he used to be loving and romantic and isn't anymore, because obviously that's not going to help you, because that's just assuming that he isn't now. But like I said earlier, get clear on what it is that you want out of this commitment, out of this love, out of this romance, and then assume that he's doing it right now. Create seasons and statements that imply that it is going on right now, and live in the end of that happening. Convince your subconscious mind that they are the case right now. Anything that's in line with it, great, keep dwelling on. Anything that's not, let go of, move past, flip the thoughts of. I've just realized that we are actually at the hour mark, and we still obviously need to go and sort out the last of like Christmas Eve stuff. So if we could stop the comments for now, please, just so I can so we can head off and go finish off some of the stuff that we have to do. That would be very helpful.
I'm gonna put a little message in here.
Okay. Top FJ, yeah. Top FJ says, what should I do when I'm in the state of having my desire? Should I just relax? Absolutely. If you're in the state of having it, just stay in that state as best you can and just enjoy it. It will. Damn it, I got outbid again. It will happen. The more that you stay in that state, the better it'll happen. It's a really cool card, and I really want it, and they keep outbidding me. John M says, like the fourth wall thing in the movie Trading Places. I don't think I've seen that film, so I can't really say a yes or no to that. Hoshan says, past is dead. Just thank your old man when he tries to come back and tell him to take a hike. Absolutely. Never let the past creep up if you can avoid it. Hoshan says, man, there are so many broken hearts. Why don't you go date amongst yourselves? I mean, it's a valid comment. Jordan Strang says, just for context regarding my last comment, I found myself literally a click away from messaging my SP, but then thought, no, actually, I'm not altering the 3D. You're coming to me. I am chasing. That is my personal opinion on what you should do. I think you should always be in the driver's seat, and by in the driver's seat, you have to be chased, because if you're chasing, then that means they hold all the power. So I agree with that. Jade Lamb says, how do you build trust and faith in yourself when manifesting? In your faith or in manifestation? Because I don't think you necessarily need to have faith and trust in yourself to continue to think the right things. I think the faith and trust would more, I mean, you could disagree with me there, but I think the faith and trust is more in, is what I'm doing actually going to work? If that's the case, test it out on little things that are significant, so you'll know that it's you, but aren't so significant that you'll become attached to the outcome. Obviously, you want the outcome to happen so you can prove it to yourself, but you're not like dying over the idea of whether or not you get a free chicken slice from the shop, you know? So that would be that's how I built up faith and trust that it works. And then once you start with small things, then obviously the big successes are a lot easier, because you're like, no, it works. All I have to do is just persist in the right thoughts and it will happen. And obviously that's when you can start to be more of a like a faithful person towards the manifestation. John M says, trust you and negative unwanted thoughts like rancid, stinky. Treat. I need glasses. Yeah, absolutely. Treat your negative thoughts, unwanted thoughts like rancid, stinky, rotten, maggot-ridden trash. Try the list method. So yes and no. So unwanted thoughts, it's better to either flip them to positive thoughts or to just simply let them go. The reason being is if you treat those negative thoughts so poorly and focus on them in order to be like, you are like worthless to me in like a really like in-depth way, you're just focusing more energy on those thoughts than you actually need to. If you can just let them go or just flip them, it's probably better to do that, because the less you focus on the undesired, the less you have to worry about it. But I do agree that you shouldn't let those thoughts ever be anything that you consider to be important. And yeah, to John M says to Jade Lamb, try the list method, which is kind of what I was sort of referencing with the start off with small things, but the list method's really good. Hashan says, Matt, time is a paradox, please explain. So which element of time? Because there's loads of paradoxes that involve time. There's the idea that time isn't a solid construction. There's the element of time not meaning anything in manifestation. Which one are you sort of asking about? Abinay says, also, I did something that has turned my life around, lol. I think this is better for me, to be honest. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Matt Schwartz put an emoji. Howdy, howdy, Matt. Glad to have you here. Abner said, wouldn't be telling here because it may not be appropriate, but I'll tell you later. Okie dokie. I can't guarantee that I'll get around to it anytime soon because my Instagram is kind of swamped at the moment, but I will get back to it as soon as I can. Or that, yeah, that's also an option.
Also, there was somebody in the live last week, and I don't know if you are here now, but you said you was going to message me on Instagram, and you haven't. So if you still want to, I'm more than happy to. By the way, also, my Instagram messages go into a different box. So if I don't reply to you in a couple of days, it's because I haven't seen them. And I don't know how to set it up so that they just come straight to me as notifications. So just comment on a picture or something, and then I will see that you have messaged me. So it's some lovely lady, I think, who had messaged me on like the 26th of November. And last week, because of the live, I checked my inbox a couple of times and actually went onto the it's like requests or something, and that's when I finally saw it. So yeah, if anybody does ever message my Instagram, just comment if I haven't seen it. But yeah.
Yeah. So Hashan says, Matt, there's got to be celebratory anticipation when living in the end. So I can't understand time as a paradox. Why is there got to be celebratory anticipation when living in the end? Because if you're living in the end, you're not anticipating anything because you experience it. So I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to get at with that comment. So if you could possibly explain, I might be able to give you a little bit of an idea, but I don't fully know what that means in terms of time as a paradox. Jade Lamb says, can you explain why everyone says there is always movement? There's always movement because when you're focusing on something, you're creating that thing. When you're not focusing on something, momentarily that thing dissolves into nothingness, essentially. So when you're focusing on your end result, there's always movement because you are focusing that end result, that you're focusing on the movement of that end result. So even though you may not necessarily be getting the text, the message, the interviews, whatever it is that you're going for right now, there's movement because you're creating it. There's always movement because you're always in the state of creation when you're focusing on what it is that you want. And when you're not focusing on what you don't want, you're dissolving the old story. That's why there's always movement. Summer Rain says, how do I deal with a third party? Just found this out. The best way to deal with a third party is to take them out of your awareness. So if you were in the situation that you want to be in, that third party wouldn't exist in the first place. Therefore, there is no reason for you in your current state to ever pay it any attention. You need to operate as the person or the version that has your desire internally in order for it to externalize. So if your version that you want to externalize wouldn't be dealing with a third party because they have their desire, that means that you need to be copying that same persona by not focusing on the third party either. So take your attention off of them and put it on what you do want instead. Abinay says, Katie, bonk his head if you love me. Out. Abinay says, I come back after a long time and I'm getting timed out by my bestie. I haven't actually timed you out. I was only joking. And then she also says, I'll make sure to be a Grinch and steal your cookies tonight. I'm already the Grinch in this household, so it's absolutely fine. I don't do Christmas. And
I am absolutely Christmas mad, and it is my favorite time.
Yeah. And Abinaya says also, no more cookies for you, Matt. Katie gets all the treats and she's so nice to me. I'll be a Santa for her. And it says, Matt isn't young. He's facing a midlife crisis at the moment. What? I'm 25. What's my midlife crisis? Quarter life crisis. What would you perceive as my midlife crisis right now? That'd be very interesting to see, actually. I've to be fair, it's probably a lot that I do. Spending £25 on a single Yu-Gi-Oh card is probably a midlife crisis, actually.
Spending
don't
£800 total on Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much did you say though?
8.
Oh, not 800. I've spent about £500 on Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the past like 2 months.
If we combine both.
Then yeah, easily 800. Easily. It's really bad. It's an obsession. Kerry Ann Baker says, hey, I'm sorry for commenting a lot, but I love your channel. It's all right. Thank you very much for the support. And you helped me a lot. But I feel really good doing I remember when affirmations. But I think I need to stop looking at your channel for a bit because I like is making me overthinking that. That's absolutely fine. If you need to take a break from my channel in order to make sure that you work on your desire and get it in, that's absolutely fine. I'd rather someone leave my channel to do what's best for them than leave their channel because the content I was providing wasn't up to scratch. So you go do what you got to do. And if you ever need my help, by all means, pop back. Jersey says, if Matt's old, I'm ancient. Seen at Avenir, now you're offending other people. Avenir also says, if you're ancient, Matt's reduced to atoms. Avenir says 41. Oh, sorry, JRC says to Avenir 41. By the way, the click was Thanos. She says gone, reduced to atoms. Oh, I skipped. Jade Lamb says, does Katie do tarot reading through video call? She hasn't yet. She does do tarot readings for like her friends and family in person, and she does want to start doing more video related stuff, like long form content on YouTube and stuff. And I think that maybe one day that may mean that there'll be video calls, but right now, not yet. I probably should let you answer that. Yeah.
So yeah, as it currently stands, I don't particularly have the time. So I've actually had quite a success kind of recently where, you know, I was trying to very much like create the fact that I make a lot of money, therefore I can do my own business and la la la, but I wasn't very specific. So my pay rise and my Christmas bonus all came from my real job. Yeah, I need to flip it around, switch it over so that I don't actually have to do anything else. And once that happens is probably when those kind of things will be available, because as it stands at the moment, having like my well, it's not a 9 to 5 because it's not 9 till 5, but having my job and like the school run and mum and like all of that kind of stuff, it actually does not give me enough time. And like the wax melts also take me a hell of a lot of time. So it's not necessarily a thing that I don't want to do. It's just something that I currently cannot actually physically fit in. But it will probably be something that happens in the future. Like Matt said, I am trying to hopefully set up my YouTube a bit better, start doing some more like long form and stuff like that. I'm mostly active on like my TikTok at the moment because it is easiest, and their editing stuff is actually really good for like just an app. So obviously it's like quite easy to just quickly create things and post them. So yeah, basically in the future probably, but as of right now, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abner says, don't worry, Matt's a vampire. He's just goofing around like that. I'll take it. I mean, vampires they're not the coolest creature. I definitely would prefer to be a werewolf, but I'll take vampire. And then Abner says, how's 41 years of your life going? Hopefully it's going well. Obviously that was to JRC, not me. Hashan says, yo, Katie, is tarot witchcraft?
So that's a fun question, because I think some people definitely sort of link the two. I'd say they're very much connected because they're all about being like connected spiritually and things like that, because obviously the reading doesn't actually come from the physical cards, if that makes sense. It comes from like a different entity completely. So a lot of people do link the two. I wouldn't necessarily say that tarot reading is witchcraft, because you don't have to be a witch to do tarot readings, and don't have to do tarot readings to be a witch. I am both, but yeah. So I would say no, because I know lots of tarot readers that are just more spiritual than other people. And then I also know lots of tarot readers that are heavily involved in witchcraft and are practicing witches. So it's like they go hand in hand, but they're not necessarily the same thing. But that's just my perception of them. I think some people do view them as witchcraft and some people don't. So
yeah. Katie Coughlin, sorry if I said that wrong, says, hi Matt and Katie, Merry Christmas to you both. Merry Christmas to you too. Is there a particular time in which the manifestation will arrive in the 3D after the Sabbath? No, everyone's journey is different. It's very difficult to sort of like confirm. My experience is that if I do reach the Sabbath state, it does usually come within a couple of weeks, like maximum. But there are other people that have said that they felt like they've been in the Sabbath state for a couple of weeks and still nothing, and then a couple more weeks go by and they get it. So everyone varies. I would just focus more on your journey, just because you don't want to compare yourself to someone else and then end up bringing yourself out the state, because then you start to panic about why it's been X amount of time. But there isn't a specific amount that you can be like, yep, I've hit the Sabbath state, 3 days from now, I'll get it. But if you're in the Sabbath state, that's a good sign. So at least take that from it, I suppose.
I was just going to ask a follow-up question to that. Could you decide?
In theory, yes, because you could obviously
just be like, as soon as I hit the
Sabbath
state, it's the day after.
You could do, just like anything, just like people that say everything works out for me immediately, or I don't know, what's another example that people use? I don't have any limiting beliefs, for example. They're all in theory possible, but it's whether or not you're able to stay consistent with them when they show up as the opposite. Because remember, a lot of the time manifestation won't be like instant. So the idea of like making the assumption that once you hit the Sabbath state, it comes within a day, and then having the next time you hit the Sabbath state, maybe it hasn't manifested properly yet. So then it takes like 3 days, and then you start to doubt whether or not it's working. It's the same thing with time crunches. It is possible, but is it worth the energy? And are you going to be able to stay consistent with it? Scorpio Moon, which is the person that did the donation, said, just wanted to support the work you are doing. I'm twice your age, probably, but think you are doing important work. I'd see you being very successful. Well, thank you very much for not only the donation, but also the kind words. I'm really glad to see that people think that I'm going to be successful. And I'm really glad that people, that you all think that with the work that we're doing is very good. So thank you very much for your kind words and your donation. I really appreciate the support. Rohan says, does fantasizing and thinking of future together implies living from the end? I mean, it's beneficial towards it. I wouldn't say it's living from the end because you're just thinking from the end. But that is obviously an element of it. But I feel like when you're not thinking and fantasizing, you're probably going back to your old self, which isn't necessarily like living from the end. Because obviously living implies that it's your day-to-day life sort of thing. But it is definitely something that goes towards it. I would say that that's probably more closer to doing a visualization technique as opposed to living from the end, if that makes sense. I can happily explain the difference in a future video or some point in a live stream or something. I don't mind. But I would say that whether or not it's living from the end, I would probably say not necessarily. I would say it's more of a visualization, but it is still working towards getting you your end result. Dev says, Matthew, why is my subconscious different than other people's? What do you mean? In what way? Skipped. Jade Lamb says, if I want to text my SP while manifesting them, does that mean they're manifesting me? That's a good question. I think you need to look into yourself before you do anything, because a lot of the time people, while manifesting someone, can end up creating an unhealthy obsession, and that unhealthy obsession leads to them wanting to take lack-based action. So you wanting to message them might not actually be because they're manifesting you. It might purely be because you want to reach out to them because you're in fear of not having them. That is a possibility. I'm also not going to deny the possibility that they are manifesting you. Look into yourself, look into where your dominant state is at, and look into how you operate and see if you can be honest with yourself and tell yourself whether or not it is possible for you in that moment. Hashan says, Dev, because you're unique, bro, your identity is special to you. Well, yeah, obviously that's the main reason why everyone's subconscious is different. But I was curious to see if there was like a specific thing that Dev was like referencing. Dev also says, I can't get the results I want. I'm denying time, but still it's mad long for me to get my SP. Is my sub denying it? I don't understand. Your subconscious mind can't deny anything. It can only take in what is being fed by your conscious mind. If you're saying I can't get my results, or I can't get the results and stuff like that, then obviously that's not being in the right place in the first place. That's only feeding your subconscious mind that you can't get them, which isn't going to help. And like I say quite regularly, anything that is in line, whether it's thoughts, feelings, actions, circumstances, that's in line with your end result, feed into them. Anything that's not, let go, because until your desire comes in, because it may be long and some things might take a while. But anytime that you start to worry about the time and stuff, you say you're denying time, but then immediately say, but still mad long for me to get my SP, and then assume that your sub's denying it. So are you genuinely denying time, or do you feel like you're denying time but actually letting it get to you? But that's like your subconscious mind can't deny you, though. That's definitely not an assumption you want to create for yourself, because that's going to be a very tricky thing to move past. Abinaya says, if it's cool, I'll message you on Discord. Abinaya, are you in the Discord community group? And then Abinaya says, sure. Dev then says, I'm also confused on action, because intellectuals say put some work. Do I text her? I am also confused on action, because intellectuals say put some work. Do I text her or do I just use affirmations because I sound like a broken record? Okay, so I think I don't fully understand the thing, but I'm just going to go on the end part of, do I just use affirmations or do I text her? I think if you were to text her, you're giving up your power in a lot of cases, because if you're in a situation where you're in no contact and you're the first one to reach out, you're basically saying, I need you more than you need me, which is obviously that is not a good state that you want to be in. You should be living your life with or without them and letting them come in. And affirmations are perfectly fine. That was all I did the visualization and stuff as well for Katie, but I didn't reach out first and Katie still came back. Very, very rarely, and if there's any of my clients in here that can vouch for it, do I ever recommend reaching out. And I have quite a few success stories, because reaching out isn't needed. We know that this 3D reality is old story. So if you reach out, 90% of the time, you will be talking to a version that is based on your old thoughts and assumptions. So reaching out is very fruitless. It really is very fruitless. It's like talking to a past version of something. It doesn't exist in this moment. And even though in the 3D they technically do, it's all old story. So if you can just use affirmations, and I don't think it's the affirmations that is the problem. It's what's going on in your mind the rest of the time that's potentially holding you back. JRC, skipped again. Hey, when it does happen. JRC says, love to you all and happy holidays. Wanted to get the one out before the end. Thank you, and so grateful for Matt and Katie. Thank you very much for the kind words, and happy holidays to you too, JRC. I'm glad you were able to make it to the Christmas / 1 year anniversary of the channel. That's really cool.
We should have got a banner. Or
I
something.
forgot until literally we started.
Can I draw you one really quick?
It's too late now. I'll be heading off in like a minute. Natasha says tarot is actually based on the Bible and stages of life. Very interesting. I did not know that. To be fair,
I knew that the Bible mentions it in the sense of it's prohibited, you should not do it, and la la la. But I have never heard that it's based off the Bible, because I know, like, in the Bible it's seen as something horrific, and you should never go to mediums. You should never try and contact like the dead and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I never knew that it could be based off of religion.
Completely unrelated. Is it premarital sex if you never get married? Therefore, is it a sin?
According to the Bible.
But it's premarital. But if you just don't get married, then it's not premarital, because the marital never happened. So it can't be premarital. Pre implies that something happens. You don't have a prequel before the first ones come out. Big brain. See, if I was back in the olden days, I'd helped a lot of people out. B says, thank you for your help. You're very welcome. Also, what was your craziest thing you got that completely shocked you? Asking both of you. I think my pay rise from my job, because even though I was working on it, so it wasn't like a surprise, the amount that I got was literally within pounds of the number that I wanted. And it came in such an unexpected way that I just did not, expect, because it was unexpected. But it came in a way, and I literally just saw it, and I was like, oh, cool, that's exactly the number that I wanted. And then it made a huge difference for me. So I think the pay rise at my job.
I stopped it raining. I literally just stopped it raining. It was a day where I cannot even remember what I had created, but I had made something really amazing. And I was like, and then something else little happened as well that I'd been working on. All of these little things started happening. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I am the most powerful woman in the world. And it was forecast to rain, and it was raining, and I had to go and pick up the kids. And I stood in the doorway, and I was like, it's pissing it down. I need an umbrella. And then I was like, no, I don't need an umbrella because it is not raining. And I just walked out the door, and literally 5 steps into my walking to get the kids, it stopped raining. And then when I got home from literally walked into the door, it started again. So yeah, that was really cool. That was my favorite. Like, I felt like the baddest bitch then. I'm not even gonna lie, like literally, because there was like, what were the other things that I was doing? I can't even remember them now.
I don't know.
One of them was big, one of them was little. They both happened right at the same time, and I was like, yes, I can do this. And then I stopped it raining. So
yeah.
I feel like I'm in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Apologies if I said that wrong. I've been seeing angel numbers like crazy. Should I care about that, about what they mean, or how much? I'm trying to get my SP, but keep seeing 333, which means focus on yourself. Is that the universe telling me it's an L? No, the universe isn't telling you it's an L. So angel numbers are, whether or not they hold any validity, I'm not going to go into. I personally don't really care for them anymore. I think if it's not my end result, it's not my focus. yes, you should always be working on yourself anyway. So I would take that advice as it is, but that doesn't mean that you're going to take an L. Only you can decide what you do and don't get. It's the same as going to a tarot reading. If a tarot reading says you're not going to get your person, that basically just means right now, because of where your mindset and energy is at, it can always be shifted at any moment. So if an angel number is saying focus on yourself, it's not an L. It just means that you need to focus on yourself and continue to persist in your end result. So hopefully that helps. But I personally don't care about them, and it's never led me astray. I remember when I was first involved in a law of attraction, though, it was quite a yes, please. I remember when I first got involved in law of attraction, I'd see the angel numbers and I was like, oh my God, this means this means this. And I was Googling and I'd see a video that was like 4 minutes and 44 seconds long. And I'd be like, Google, like, what does this mean? And it was like, I remember getting way too obsessed with them. And I don't focus on them at all now. And it's not led me astray. Bitch tits McDickin biscuit. I like that. I like that a lot. Matthew, it's Matthew from Canada. Oh, howdy, Matt. It's nice to hear from you. How are you, brother? I'm very good, thanks. Yourself? Phantom Geek says, oh my, damn it, it skipped again. Phantom Geek says, oh my God, I've missed you two for 2 weeks, both emotionally and timing wise. So glad to have caught alive. Holy moly. Well, Phantom Geek, we are glad to have you here, and Merry Christmas. Jadeland says, thank you for answering the texting question. I was curious about that situation. You're very welcome. Yes, sir says, what's the best method in your opinion to get your SP? Living from the end. Any technique that you use is just to get you into the state of having. So living from the end and embodying the state is the best thing to do. How would you think, feel, and act if you're with them? And then consciously think, feel, and act in that way. I have a worksheet. If anyone's interested in a free worksheet that I've literally just made, drop me an email at lawofassumptionsbackdoor.com and I'm happy to let you guys test it out and give me some feedback, and that could potentially help you. But yeah, living from the end is the best method. Phantom Geek says, going to start turning on notifications just for your, because now I can't miss another live. Yeah, if you don't already, I would advise clicking the bell icon because it notifies you of my videos. And the more people that watch a video for a longer period of time and sort of sooner when it first comes out, sort of heavily dictates the algorithm. So not just for lives, but for normal videos, it is very helpful for me. B says, oh my God, okay. So what if the person I'm manifesting doesn't want me, but I want that random person follow me on Instagram? Can that ever happen? Yes. So when if this is referring to you being manifest and you can choose if you don't want to, there will be a version of them that can deny it because they're operating from that reality. But thank you very much. In order for you to get your manifestation, there's a version of them out there that also wants you back, or not back, sorry, because yours is I'm assuming a new person who said random person follow me on Instagram. I want that random person. Okay, so there would be a reality in which that's available to happen, and you will be weaved into reaching that. So it will be something that's already on the path to happen, and you're simply just taking on that version, and it can still happen. So it doesn't mean, like, even if they don't want you, it doesn't matter. You'll just operate in a reality in which they do want you. I'm a bit confused about your comment because you said, what if the person doesn't want me, but I want that random person follow me on Instagram? So I'm assuming based on that, you mean the person doesn't know you yet. But either way, it doesn't, regardless of that, whether it's an ex, whether it's a new person, whether it's someone that doesn't know you yet, same thing applies. Even if they don't want you, there will be a reality in which they do, and that will end up leading you there. If you don't know each other yet, there will be a reality in which you're bound to meet, and that's where you will take on that state of having that. Take on that reality of having that, sorry. Phantom Geek says, so much to say and catch up on, but it's been an hour and I don't want to hold you guys back. Do you guys need to eat, lol? Yes, we do. And then you say, oh no, you're heading off in a moment. I'll catch you guys next week for sure then. Happy holidays. Big brain. Happy holidays to you too. By all means, if you want to catch me up on stuff, you just drop me an email. It's absolutely fine.
Oh, the big brain comment came in when you had your
premarital thing. Yeah. It is big brain. I'm a smart uncle particle. Dev says, so when I'm in the state, I don't expect it because it's already expected. I would like a free worksheet. Can I use it for SP, money, etc.? Yes, it's a general worksheet. I have used examples for SP and money, but the worksheet can be used for absolutely any topic. All of my worksheets, I tend to keep them general so that they can be used over and over and over again. And you don't have to be like, oh, I want a specific person one and then get a specific job one and yada, yada, yada. So just drop me an email at lawofassumptionsbackdoor.com and I'll send it over to you. But so when you're in the state, you don't expect it because it's already expected. That's fine. But make sure that when you fall out of the state, you aren't also falling out of like the expectation of it happening. Phantom Geek says, I'll make this quick. Thin air, SP, friend, romantic, and job. No idea, as I've never had a job being a teen, as you know. I want ideal pay and work conditions. No job in mind. How to make job. Don, please and thank you and happy holidays. Okay, so sorry, I know I said I would stop, but I needed y'all so much. Ha ha ha. Whoa, not you talking about SP state and job state as I commented above.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and answer your question anyway, because I don't know if what I commented above does help. But even if you don't know what the experience actually is, you know what you want out of it. So that's all that you have to basically tell yourself. So if you don't know what job you want, but you know what money you want, and you know, I want ideal work. Okay, so you say you want ideal pay and work conditions. You know what they are. So you could literally just tell yourself that you are working a job that has exactly that. Your dream job that pays the perfect amount with the perfect working conditions. Same thing with specific person. You may not have a specific person in mind. I would say I'm pretty sure you do here, but let's just use this for an example. You may not have them in mind, but you know that you want a blonde, short, I don't know, female, and that's the two categories that you want to go with. I am dating the most amazing short and blonde woman. Then you know that you've got what it is that you want, or you know what you want out of a relationship. Just tell yourself that you're living that. Whatever it is that you do know that you do want, use that to your advantage to say that I already am experiencing this. B says, what's your MBTI and do you care about it? I don't know what that is. Could you possibly explain? And B says, but like that person don't know I exist and they probably never even saw me. So how can they find me on Instagram? Like I left the country, so I'm not going to meet them maybe like ever again. That doesn't really matter at all, because there will be, if you can think of it, there is a reality in which it's in an existence. And all you have to do is just continue to persist in that end result until you occupy said reality. Right now, you're in a reality in which you aren't crossing paths, but that doesn't mean that there isn't an infinite possibility that in this in a universe of infinite possibilities, being infinite, that means there must be a reality in which the thing that you want to happen is happening. Therefore, you will just occupy that reality regardless of whether you know them, don't know them, ex, new person, best friend, someone that hates you, doesn't matter. There will be a reality in which things will go the way that you want, and all you have to do is occupy that reality. But just before we go, can you tell me what MBTI is, so that like I can answer that question? And Phantom Geek says drop logic, B. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is essentially that. Right now, you're looking at the reality as it is now and saying it can or can't work. But there's infinite possibilities, which means there's many, many realities in which it does work. And then Dev says B, circumstances don't matter. And I'm just waiting to find out what MBTI is, and then we can head off and go eat and stuff, because I still have to do some Christmas wrapping. I don't like Christmas.
I've done all my Christmas wrapping already. Just need to put it all out.
I'm going to give it... okay, so B says... Holly, holy shit. So like, if let's say there is a version of reality me of having thousands of clients every day, and once I align to it, they'll start coming. Yes, exactly. I'm just going to... if you... What's MBTI? I can think of what, but yeah, you're absolutely right there. But I'm very curious as to what MBTI is.
I'm going to Google it, see whether Google comes up with anything. What is MBTI?
Oh, my personality. Oh, I have no idea. Probably a shitty one. I don't know. You know what? I'll try to remember to do a personality test, and then next week ask me about it. Phantom Geek says there's like a website you take a quiz and it tells you. Okay, cool. So I'll probably go do that at some point when I'm bored tonight.
Myers-Briggs type indicator.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, I will do that, and then in the next stream, ask me about it, and I'll let you know.
Do it now.
But it's 9 o'clock. We haven't eaten yet, and it's Christmas. I still got to wrap her presents, so I'm in trouble. But yeah,
I got a new one today though. That's my new watch strap.
Thank you everyone for tuning in today to this live stream. Thank you very much, Scorpion Moon, for your donation. It's very kind of you, and we will catch you. I can't guarantee how the videos are going to be over the sort of next week or so, but yeah, happy holidays to you all, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.